my screen and recording. All right, so up to this point, we have been doing, we have done some IK handles, right? I create IK handle. And if I go to the options box, you'll notice that there's two types of IK handles. There's the rotate plane solver, or the RP as they call it. And then there's the single chain solver, or SC, okay? Rotate plane gives you, similar to what we did on the arm before, it gives you that, I'll just do it for the sake of demonstration. We're not working on the arm right now. But it gives you, you know, the little arrow that points to wherever the pole vector is. And, you know, you can rotate that based on the pole vector, right? Okay. The single chain does not have a pole vector. It is simply to connect one joint, usually connect one joint to the next, okay, for the sake of setting up controls. On these bottom two joints, right, from the ball to the tip and from the ankle to the ball of the foot, we're setting up single chain solvers. So you need to go into your settings and set it. I have found, even though you can actually change the type of IK handle after you've created it, I have found previously, I haven't tested it since, so they may have fixed it, but I have found that it does not work the right way if you change it from a rotate plane to a single chain after you've created it. So I recommend, based on my experience, that you change it in the settings, go to skeleton, create IK handle options, change it in the settings so that it is creating a single chain solver, rather than switch it from rotate plane to single chain, even though it gives you the option to do that. You also want on these bottom two joints to activate sticky. Okay, sticky means that they will hold in place. Okay, so with these activated, and I'm just going to hide my geometry. I'm going to go from the ball to the tip of the toe. That's going to create one IK handle. I'm going to hit Y to reselect my last tool, which is my IK creator. And I'm going to go from the ankle to the ball, right? So now I have two IK handles, okay? I'm going to go ahead and name these. This is going to be my toe LIK, and this is going to be my ball LIK. And what you'll notice, not only do I have the handles themselves, but these have a little target on the handle. That indicates that it's sticky, right? Okay. If I select the handle itself and go to my attribute editor, Control A, and I go to the IK handle attributes, you can see that it has stickiness set to sticky instead of off. You can, if I turn that off, that little target goes away. Okay. So if I go to the IK solver attributes, this is where you could switch from single chain to rotate plane. Again, I don't recommend it. I would recommend creating it through the settings that you need, rather than switching from one type to another. Okay, so so what this is going to do, if I just kind of select this and move it around, it's going to do this. It's going to give us the ability to bend our toes. This one is going to give us the ability to bend the ankle. I'll go ahead, because this is such a quick and easy setup, I'll go ahead and do the other foot. And go ahead and name those. Toe, R-I-K, and ball, R-I-K. Now, somebody is inevitably going to ask, can you set up one leg and then move it over to the other side? No, you can't. You have to set up each one individually. Now, for the knee, we need the other kind of IK solver. Okay, so I'm going to switch, select my IK creation tool, and I'm going to go to rotate plane, and I'm going to deactivate sticky, okay, because we don't want this to be sticky. And this is going to go from, again, the hip to the ankle, not the top of the hip joint. Do not do it. Don't. Stop it. Okay. So hip to the ankle, just like that. You may notice, I didn't get one, but you may notice a little bit of a shift in the knee. It all depends on how properly set up your orients are and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. Boom, boom. And I don't have to hold down shift in order to do this. You just have to click and then click. I'll name this one leg L-I-K and leg R-I-K. Now, don't need that anymore. That's fine. So now that we've done this, we're going to select, and I'm going to make this easier to see, I think. Well, maybe not. I'll hide my grid. That might make it easier to see. There we go. All right, so I'm going to select these three, and just to show you how this looks, if I move all three up, you see I get this leg movement, right? That's really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all three of these, and I'm going to set up a little bit of a hierarchy. And I think I might have the hierarchy laid out on another page. I do. Yeah, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to group these three. Control G to group. I'll go ahead and group these three, Control G to group, just so that I have them set up. And I'm going to name these. This is going to be IKLGRP and IKRGRP, just so that they're separated. And I'm going to take these groups and parent constrain them to the controller. Okay, so I select the controller. Control in the outliner, control click the group. Okay, so select the controller, control click the group, and parent constrain. So constrain, parent, options, make sure that maintain offset is on, everything is active. Click add. Same thing for the other side. Constrain, parent. So now when I move the controller, the IKs move. But I have to set up some additional control on these groups. So now that I have this moving, That one's moving. That one's moving. I'm going to set up additional grouping, okay? So I'm going to select all three of these and group within this group. So I have another group. And this is going to be my toe L group. I'm going to select all three again and group again. And I'll write out the hierarchy here so that you can see exactly what I'm dealing with here. And I'll give you plenty of time to write this hierarchy down. This is going to be my heel L group. I'm going to select just the leg and ball IK and group that. And that will be my ball L group. And I'm going to select the toe IK by itself and group that. And name that the toe flop L group. So again, I'm just going to show you this hierarchy a little bit larger here. So I have on both sides, IK, L group. Under that, I have the parent constraint. So IK, L group, parent constraint 1. And under that, I have the toe L group. Under the toe group, I have the heel L group. Under the heel group, I have the ball L group. And the toe flop L group. In the ball group, I have the leg L IK and the ball L IK. And in the toe flop group, I have the toe L IK. All right. So this is how. This is how the hierarchy looks. Okay, the IKL group, and switch these for R on the other side. Has the parent constraint and the toe L group inside. In the toe L group, I have the heel L group. Inside the heel L group, I have the ball L group and the toe flop L group. Inside the ball L group, I have leg LIK, ball LIK, and in the toe flop, I have the toe LIK. Yes.
Is that a simple parenting or parenting constraint?
I grouped. So I have a parent constraint to the controller, right? And so it creates this constraint. I simply put it up here so that you're not confused by seeing it when I didn't put in the notes, right? So when I did this and then control click the group, it created that constraint, right? I just wanted to show it here, right? But as far as all this stuff, this is all grouped, right? I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to select all three of these. I'm going to group them and group them and group and group, right? I'm just making a bunch of groups and then I'll name them. My first group is the toe group. This is toe R group. My second group is the heel group. Heel R group. My third group is the ball group. Ball R group. And the fourth group is the toe flop. Toe flop R group. All right, so it's the exact same as on the other side. Now, what these groups do right now is not a whole lot, right? Right now, they move some things, but they don't move how they're supposed to move, right? Okay, so what I need to do with each of these groups is I need to move their pivots to the proper location so that they can move the IK handles the way they're supposed to be moved. Okay, so this is similar to what we did with the trophy, our first assignment. We're simply moving our pivots. In this case, we're doing it on groups in order to set the rotation location at the right place. Right? Right now it's rotating, but it's not rotating in the right place. Okay, so on the toe group, and I'll do this on the left because that's what I did first. And again, every group's pivot is in the exact same place and at the center of the grid. Like I said before, whenever you create a group, the pivot for that group is always at 0 in the world. So you have to move it in order to get it in the right place, right? Okay, so the toes pivot, and again, I recommend hiding your geo for this. It's a lot easier. The toes pivot is going to be snapped to the toe of the respective side, right? Okay, so I'm going to hold down D and V, grab the middle of this, and just snap it to the toe. So now the toes group pivot is right there at the toe, and this is how that should move. It raises up on the toe. If I show the geometry, you'll see that he's lifting his foot off the ground, just like that, as if he's getting ready to take a step, right? The heel pivot should be snapped to the base of the heel. So I moved it to the heel joint, and then I'm going to move it down until I get it into a good position for the type of movement that I want, right? If I move it to here, it's going to raise off the ground, right, when he rotates his heel up. So I need to move it into a good place. I've usually found that somewhere towards the back is a good place to have it so that it doesn't lift off the ground much, if at all, right? You don't want to go too far down because then it's going to rotate back and stuff like that, right? So I want to get this into a good position so that it keeps contact with the floor while lifting the heel. Should look something like that. Okay. And again, when you're testing, make sure you don't rotate it back down and try and get it. Oh, that looks good. Well, no, you still have some rotations on there. Make sure you zero it out, okay, for all these groups. My toe group is also zeroed out, right? So I have toe control and I have heel control. Now for the ball, that's going to be to the ball joint. Hold down DV, Snap it to the ball joint. Easy enough. This is what this looks like. It lifts the heel without lifting the toe. How beautiful is that? Okay. The toe flop group pivot is also going to be on the ball because this gives us this capability. So I'm going to do the other side. Same exact thing. Toe group to the toe. Heel group. Starting snapping there and then moving it down and in place. Try and get it into a good position. Test it. That's lifting off the ground a little bit. I'm going to pull this up and over. That looks pretty good. Happy with that. Ball group to the ball. Toe flop to the ball as well. Always test. Your toe group works like that. Heel lifts up the heel. Ball raises the heel with the toe on the ground. Toe flop, flippity flop of the toe. Just like that. Now, how do we get these controls? Can anybody tell me? How do we get these types of control onto this controller? Any thoughts? We've done it.
Is it, I'm thinking, it's like,
People online can answer also. Is it what? Not a constraint. First of all, the only attributes I have over here are translate, rotate, scale, and visibility. So none of that is going to control the rolling of the foot, right? Oh, I have a bad pivot on this control. Oops. Well, just great. Now I have a... Can't believe I did that. Okay. I'm going to have to undo my parent constraint. Delete it. And redo my pivot. And then redo my constraint. All right, so selecting that, reselecting the IK group, constraint parent, add. There we go. All right. I have to create attributes that will control the movement of these foot groups, the rotation of these foot groups. So I need to create these attributes. And these are set up on another page. This is why I need to reorganize my notes. Okay, so I'm going to create some attributes. I've already done some work here, so I'm going to save real quick. This is version 19 for me. Save often. And I need to create attributes. So in the channel box, edit, add attribute. You can also do this in the attribute editor. You can. If I go to attributes, add attribute, it pulls up the same window, right? Okay. So you can do it multiple ways. All right. So the attributes that I need to do is set up my toe roll, heel roll, ball roll, toe pivot, heel pivot, ball pivot, toe flop, and I have a knee control. Okay, so we're not actually using pull vectors for these knees. I'm going to show you a different way of doing this. So first, we want to organize our attributes. And here's the thing. When you create an attribute, you cannot change its location in your list. By that, I mean moving your attribute up and down to reposition it within your channel box that I'm aware of. I haven't seen them be able to do that. I don't think anyway. Yeah, I haven't found a way to do that previously. I say that because if you miss one and you want it to be in proper order, you have to delete the ones under it and recreate them, right? So it's a little bit of a pain, but this is why we organize these things. So I'm going to create some organization here. I'm going to create a foot controls section. Under that, I'm going to create a foot rolls section. And under that, I'm going to create the toe L roll the, and I'm doing underscores, heel L roll, double underscore, ball L roll, right? So that's the foot rolls section in my foot controls section, right? And then I'll create the pivots section. And I'll do toe L pivot, heel L pivot, ball L pivot. And then I'll create a flops section. And under that, it'll be toe L flop. And then I'll create a knee section. And under that, I'll create knee L. I'll call it PV, knee L PV. Something like that, right? Okay. So these are all the attributes that I have to create. Okay. So I'm going to move that over so that I can see while I create. Okay. So, this is going to be foot controls. I'm going to override the nice name so that it stays exactly as I write it. Okay, override nice name turns the spaces, the nice name turns the spaces into, or sorry, the underscores into spaces. I don't want spaces. I want my underscores intact, right? So this is a header. It is not a keyable attribute. So this I'm going to turn to displayable. Right? It's not keyable. And I'm going to click add. And that's going to make it so that it creates a control divider. These are, anything under this is all my foot controls. And then I'm going to do, just like I said, foot rolls. This is my foot rolls section. It's also override nice name and displayable. Add. This is my foot rolls section, right? I could copy and paste. Double underscore toe L roll, override nice name. This is going to be keyable. I don't need to change anything else. Click add. Copy, paste. override, add. Copy, paste, override, add. Pivots. Copy, paste, override, displayable. This is another section header. And I'm going to do my toe, my heel, and my ball. Flops is another section divider. So override and displayable. And I'll roll that down so you can see what's going on. Toe flop. Knee divider. Displayable. And there's my knee LPV. Override, add. All right, so here's all my sections. This is my foot control section with my foot rolls section and all three of those, pivots and all three of those, flops and that one, knee and that one, right? So they're organized, right? Doing it on Notepad helps me in doing this fairly quickly and keeping it so that I know that my spelling is right and everything is organized and I don't miss anything. I'm going to go ahead and select my right control and do the same because that was pretty quick. So for my right control, same thing. Foot controls, override, displayable, add. Foot rolls, override, displayable, add. My toe roll, heel roll, my ball roll, pivots. It's a new section. Displayable, add. Toe pivot, heel pivot, ball pivot. The flops. New section, displayable. So R flop. Knee section. And knee pull vector. Oh, now I have all of those created. Isn't this fun? You had to type all that in, that would have taken a lot longer. It organizes it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our knee. Actually, do I want to do that? Sure. All right, so we're going to set up our knee first. We're going to set up our knee control. Did I do the offset? I don't know that I need that. You know what? I'm going to make one more. I forgot to create one more. And that is under the knee section, offset. I'm just going to call it offset R for the right side and offset L for the left side. So I'm going to add one more attribute. I'll call it double underscore knee offset R override and take out the space that it put in there because I did my camel case. Yeah, I'm gonna add that, and I'll do it on the left side also. Double underscore knee, offset, L. And add. I think I had that exactly the same on both. Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna include that. Now, so what I want to do now, and again, I'm not going to get through this. We only have 9 minutes left. I'll do the knee, and then in a video or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, just for the sake of doing it in class. Because this isn't due until next week, if I remember correctly. Each one's about a week. Yeah, this is due next Wednesday. So we'll have plenty of time to finish this up tomorrow. So what I'm going to do with this is I need to make it so that this pole vector attribute controls the twist of the leg IK. Okay, so you can see if I hold this twist, it rotates the knee, right? So I need this control pole vector to control that, okay? So in order to do that, I'm going to use the node editor. Okay, so I'm going to go to Windows, Node Editor. I think I've shown you the node editor before. So I'm going to select the controller and the ankle IK. Right, I'm just going to select those two. And I'm going to hit the input and output connections button. Again, it looks like a box with 2 arrows in it. It's the third button or fourth button from the left. Click. Should look like this. I should have access to the IK itself as well as the foot control. So what I want to do is I want to add an attribute or a node here, and it's going to be called plus minus average. Okay, we've dealt with the multiply divide node to multiply the twist of the fish by -1 so that it would rotate the other direction. This does the other stuff. Multiply divide does multiply divide and average, I think. This one does plus minus. It adds and subtracts, right? So the plus minus average node. So I'm going to hit tab in my little node creation area. I'm going to start typing plus minus, and there it is. Click on it or hit down arrow and hit enter. And what I want to do is I'm just going to open this up so that we see our inputs and outputs. All the inputs are on the left, all the outputs are on the right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my foot control all the way. I click on that little, what they call the cheeseburger or hamburger menu button, right? It pops it open. And down at the bottom is all of those attributes that we just created, including the headers. And this is why we organize these the way we did. The foot control is up top. That's a displayable. The flops, foot rolls, knee, and pivots sections are next. All of the actual keyable attributes are down here. And what I want to do is I want to connect my knee attribute. Just want to make sure I have the right one. Knee LPV to input 1D0, right? It's going to go into the first input, the only input under input 1D. When you connect that, it creates another one, assuming that you might want to create another connection. We don't. Not currently, anyway. So we're going to output this, output 1D, to where did it go? The IK, here it is, the left leg IK. I'm going to open this up. And in the left leg IK, I'm going to make this large so we can see it. Down here is the twist. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot one thing. I have the knee L pole vector to the input 1D. I have the knee offset to input 1D1, right? So we're going to have knee L pole vector to 1D0, knee offset to 1D1. And then we're going to do our output to the twist attribute. So I'm just going to drag and drop that like that. All right, so when I make that connection, if you notice any shifting, I haven't seen any shifting in a while. This is why I left the offset out originally, was because I haven't, oh, I'm on the wrong side. I haven't noticed any shifting in a while, right? But if I take this knee L pole vector and move it, you'll notice that it affects the pivot, the pole vector of that knee. What I have seen in the past is that sometimes when I created this connection, it would rotate the knee. Sorry, let me just do this. It would rotate the knee like -90, like that. Okay. So if you notice any shifting when you make this connection, this is where you offset it back the other direction to correct for that shifting. If you don't notice any shifting, then this offset can be left alone. You don't need it, right? I didn't really notice any shifting when I made that connection, so technically I don't need it. But if you do notice that there's some shifting, you can use the offset to reposition your knee so that it's facing forward. And this is a permanent adjustment. This is a fix. Technically, my pole vector should be at 0, and my offset will be wherever it needs to be, and then locked and hidden, right? To correct for the shifting that the connection made, right? I don't have any connection, any rotation when I made that connection. So technically I don't need this, but if you notice it, you can use it to correct it, and then you lock and hide it and you never touch it again, and you have your pole vector to do the actual twist, okay? All right, so I'm gonna right click my offset, lock and hide, and now I have my knee control working, okay? I'm gonna save as real quick. This is version 20. And I'm gonna save as and overwrite my final. And I'm gonna go over the assignment sheet real quick. If y'all can pass this around. I think there's only a few of you, so I'll just keep this. All right, so this is due next Wednesday, 1 week from today. And again, we don't have class on Monday, so don't forget that. Set up the legs, feet and knees of the character. I'll finish this up tomorrow. If I don't get anything done, I'll create a video after tomorrow. Read the introduction of the book, pages 149 to 159. Follow the lecture in the class. Name your groups. Name the objects of the scene. Do not create another Maya project directory. Use your current project directory for this project. Set up the legs using RP, rotate plane, like I said, RP, IKs, and knee control attributes for the leg. Set up the feet using groups and SC or single chain IKs. You need to know RP and SC. Know what those mean. IKs. Create controls for the foot and leg. Make sure the feet and controls move with the character. Toe flop, heel, roll, ball pivot, etc. We'll get to that tomorrow. Controls are zeroed out, not the translations of the joint. The rotation of the joint should be zeroed out. The unnecessary channels for each control should be locked down. I should see multiple versions of your work. Turn in your project directly with your scenes file and your rubric. Legs are set up working correctly and working correctly for 8. 50 total points. Knees are set up and working correctly for 7. Feet are set up and working correctly for 8. Rig moves and scales correctly for 7. All controls are locked down. Transforms is frozen and named correctly for 5. Same project directory, didn't create a new one for 5. Followed all directions, both verbal and written for 5. Asked and answered questions and critique for 5. All right, I'll get this assignment sheet actually uploaded. I didn't want to hold you guys to do that. So, any questions before we go? We'll finish this up tomorrow, very likely.
What time do you think the video for this class will come out?
Probably after lunch. So it'll probably be available within the next half hour or so, but I'm going to lunch. So, all right. Any questions, folks online?
Yes. Where are you gonna be at so I can pick up the stuff?
Alrighty.